Hello everybody, welcome to the technical analysis webinar here with AvaTrade. My name is Troy, I'll be presenting. As we get started, let's do a quick systems check. If you would, type OK in the chat box there if you're hearing me clearly and seeing my screen all right. Okay, great, looks like we're up and running fine. If anyone has any issues as we go along, feel free to let me know. As always, keep in mind that there's risk involved with each trade that you take. So in one way or another, you want to manage risk. And it's really simple to use some of the tools in our web trader and mobile app that make the risk management side of things easier. And we'll go over some of those tools when appropriate as we go through some ideas today. And also keep in mind that what we cover is not meant to be financial advisement, but is coming from an educational perspective. Now, real quick from our main website, to log into our web trader, it's here in the upper right corner. And also, if you don't have our mobile app yet, you can find it here under the trading platform options. And the AvaTrade app is found here. And you can download it from the major app stores or just follow the link to the appropriate app store for your phone. And what you'll see is the tools that are available in the web trader that we're about to use are all available also in the AvaTrade mobile app. So whether those are the free signals that are coming in or the advanced economic calendar, a number of different tools, Market Buzz, etc., all of those are available in the app as well. Now to log into the web trader, you just click login here in the upper right corner and enter your details, and you will be in the web trader that we're looking at here. Now, real quick, if we're going to utilize the fundamental news along with the technical analysis, it's typically a good idea. And what we can do is take a look at the economic calendar from the main discovery menu here. And as well, we can look at the Market Buzz. Those are two very useful fundamental news features that really at any point you can look at through the day and get some up-to-date information, whether it's the most recent articles of the day in the Market Buzz, along with a trend analysis that's there, or on the economic calendar, you can take a look at the most recent or upcoming economic announcements and see how the movements have gone based on those announcements in the past. And then once you get a feel for the way that the sentiment is going for the day for different instruments, then you can go ahead and do your technical analysis. And I can just give you a quick heads up. There's a bit of fear that hit the markets today. Still fear about inflation being too high and some economic pain because of the high interest rates, etc. And so what we've seen is a sell-off in the equities quite a bit today, some pressure on the major indices, and strengthening of the US dollar along with that. So with that in mind, we can kind of take a look and see maybe what technical signals have come in, which signals maybe we trust the most based on our understanding of the sentiment today being kind of a sentiment of fear, and moving forward in that regard with looking at the signals and our own technical analysis as well. So, I mean, something obviously we can look at would be a safe haven like gold that while when there's fear, it tends to strengthen. The opposite is true when that fear causes a rush into the US dollar. That tends to bring gold down. And so we can take a look, and maybe I get rid of some of these old lines from past sessions. And we can take a look and see that there has been indeed a pullback in gold in the past couple weeks, really. And then if we look at what's happening today, that's kind of adding to that. And so if we go off the 1 week candles, which we see a couple weeks of dropping, we can move into something more like the 1 hour candles. And we do see that this movement is kind of leveling out after quite a bit of dropping. And so we can see here the last 3 1 hour candles, it's kind of flattened out after a surge down on the 1 hour candles. And so we can start to back away a bit and see if we can find an area of support. And that's exactly what we see as we look at the 4 hour candles. And we can use our line drawing tools to draw our own support and resistance levels. And so what we see here is a timely bounce after this rapid drop on gold. And so what we see here is a support level from last week that held yesterday and today. Okay, and so, and really today is where it challenged. It started the drop earlier on, and then today it reached this support level. Now it hasn't really bounced significantly off this support, but we are looking at a support level that's been reached. And so from my own technical analysis, I would feel like, you know, the momentum is downward, but we're already at a low point, right? We've reached a support level that we can see on the smaller candles. And when we looked at the 1 hour candles, we saw it bounced a little bit. But certainly this still looks like a downtrend that wants to challenge this support level. It doesn't look like a bounce that's just climbing right back up. Okay, so the fact that the US dollar has been strengthening today, there's maybe a rush into the US dollar because of that, because of the fears that interest rates will stay high on the USD. And so there's a fundamental explanation as to why gold has come down against the US dollar. Now the question is, what will happen next? And you know, we can lean on the signals to see, well, what does Trading Central think will happen next? Okay, and the signal is a sell. And that kind of is right in line with what we were alluding to before we looked at the signal. And this is the time in which then maybe I trust the signal more, as when I look at my fundamental analysis and then I do my own technical analysis like we just did, and then we look at the signal and we say, hey, the signal is also saying to sell. Okay, and so what we see is the expectation is that it might reach 22.91 all the way down to 22.80. Okay, and so we're at 22.95. We're not far from 22.91, but the signal's predicting even down to 22.80, which would mean that it would break this support level. So if we go to the 1 hour candles, we see that pull back up, but it looks like it wants to continue to challenge downward according to the signal anyways. And if we go to 1 day candles, then we start to look and we see, here's that support level we drew in line with this 1 day candle wick. And the signals say this could drop as far as 22.80, which is right about here. Okay, not that it couldn't drop further, but the signal's predicting that that's a good spot somewhere between 22.91 and 22.80 that you might look to take profit. Okay, certainly you'd be selling in a downtrend if you sold on this. The only negative here is you'd be selling from right above this support level because it has not broken this support, which sits at just a few dollars below where the price is right now. One option would be to sell with the signal and have your stop loss some short distance back up, or you also could do a pending order below the first support level, and if it breaks that support to this price, then you have a pending order to sell to take profit at the next support level down, which still could be about a $10 per ounce type profit, which can be a pretty significant move depending on trade size. Could be a pretty significant profit. Okay, so what would I prefer? That I looked at this maybe 3 or 4 hours ago, maybe when the signal was more fresh and the movement was up here still, because that's really when this signal came out. The signal came out when the price was up here, and we've come down almost to the first take profit mark. But we can see this was a successful signal. It just about reached the first take profit. You could have already taken profit on this signal. Had we done the webinar like at my Thursday time, where we do the webinar in the afternoon a bit earlier, you may have gotten in at an entry point up here and already be in a nice profit to close near the suggested take profit on that first support. But this does, in my eye, look like a strong downtrend. It looks like something that very well may break this next support level and head towards 22.80. But you've got to decide for yourself if you like the entry point is all, because it looks like it still might try and bounce a little before perhaps continuing downward. Any questions or comments on this gold chart or how to interpret the signal that we see here? Okay, so there's a question about using something like 1 minute candles or 5 minute candles. Can those be helpful with a trading strategy? And even with this move, I would say yes. Even though we're looking at maybe a larger movement than what you might look for on 1 minute candles, but you can get a feel for, if we start to look at 5 minute candles, when this turns back into a downtrend. So as I look at the smaller candles, 5 minute and 1 minute, I can start to draw lines and say, okay, this did bounce back up. Here was the low point, and it bounced back up to here, tested it a second time, tested it a third time, and now it seems to be downtrending again on the 5 minute candles. So by looking at the smaller candles, I can get a more intricate view to see, okay, when has the smaller movement started to downtrend again, so that I'm comfortable maybe to sell with this sell signal, rather than selling when the 5 minute candles or the 1 minute candles are still uptrending. And so the 5 minute candles I see formed a resistance, and it looks like this might want to continue with the downtrend. If we go to 1 minute candles, we see the same thing, okay? It hit the low point here with the strong downtrend. It tested the resistance level here once, twice, 3 times, and now we see the high points trying to start to get lower like this, okay? As you start to see this type of slope, the high point gets lower from here to here, from here to here, from here to here, etc. The high points keep getting lower. That's a sign of a downtrend. That in fact is a downtrend. So that might encourage you to follow this signal that did not yet reach the take profit marks. Almost reached, but did not quite yet reach, okay? So certainly, and that's a very good question, certainly the smaller candles can help you to zero in on the exact moment where you might want to enter a trade or exit a trade. So that's a very good question. Let's take a look maybe at another instrument and another signal to see if there's something else that looks interesting. And so we could look at maybe one of the major indices. And so we've got the US 500. It's a common one. And we can take a peek at the signal first this time if you want. It doesn't surprise me. It's a sell signal. We talked about that going into the webinar, that it's important many times to understand the fundamental side of things before you start doing your technical analysis. And in the first example, we did our own technical analysis, then looked at the signal, and it agreed with what we thought on our own. And now this time we look at the signal and we see again it agrees with the fundamental news. And if we do our own technical analysis, once again, we're going to see this is a pretty strong downtrend. Here's the 1 minute candles starting to downtrend again. And if we go to the 1 hour candles, we're going to see a similar situation as we saw on the last instrument. This is a strong downtrend with the US dollar strengthening, pulling US 500 in this case downward, and along with many of the equities and indices that are dropping today. So we can start to draw support and resistance lines on our own. We also can look at them in the signal, and we see here in the signal support and resistance, and we can draw our own and say, well, this was one that got broke not that long ago, just a couple hours ago. It took a lot of momentum to get above this price. We see this candle from last week, and then we see it acted as support at this price level. And now we came down today, it hit that same price and bounced. And then on the second attempt, it just broke it a couple hours ago. Less than a couple hours ago. And so this is an active downtrend that just broke a support level in the past hour, hour and a half. So I would agree with this signal. From a technical perspective, this is a strong downtrend that just broke a support level. It has not yet reached the key levels that they're suggesting to take profit. And if you go with the lower suggested level of 50.68, there's plenty of room to still drop them with this signal. So this looks like another signal from Trading Central that is successful. Thus far anyways, you'd be deep in the money had you looked at this signal earlier in the day when it was up in this area here, and still I would say not too late to act on it if it's something that you like the entry point and that you might be confident in as you look at the technicals and take into account the fundamental news as well. So obviously there's no guarantee that you'll win. So as you set up a trade, and if we simulate this one, we could say, okay, maybe my take profit's down here 50.82 or 50.80, like the signal was saying on that lower level, even maybe a little bit lower, if you find a spot that you like. So if I take a look then at the next support level on the 2-hour candles or 4-hour candles, I might find a spot that I like better. And so I can see here, this was a support level in the past, this little support here that went below and back above and held for a while back here and was resistance in the past as well. So maybe I think 50.67, somewhere in that range is where I want to take profit. And so if I put my take profit, and then I might say, okay, as long as it doesn't go back above this broken support, this was a support level last week, it just broke below. As long as it doesn't go back above there, then I'll stick with it. So my stop loss then would be up at 51.10 perhaps, just above that broken support level. If it goes back above there, then that's a reversal of the downtrend. And so then I can take a look and say my potential profit is about double what I'm risking. 4,200 possible profit, 2,250 possible loss. Now I just need to adjust the trade size. If I like the ratio of potential profit to potential loss, and really that's determined by our technical analysis, where we think we want to take profit and where we want our stop loss, then now we just adjust the trade size. So if I do a quarter of a lot, for example, now I see my risk is 406 and my potential profit is 668. So all I need to do is adjust this to be the amount of risk and potential profit that I'm looking for. And maybe I want about 1% risk. So if I do this trade size, I'm risking about 1% of my balance. And you can risk the amount that makes sense to you. The important point is in the simulation is that we can see that you'll know before you place your trade the exact amount you're risking to the stop loss and your potential profit to the take profit. Okay, and if you like the setup, then you make the move. And we lost some of the entry point there while I'm talking because it's continuing that downtrend, so we're losing our entry point as time passed. But that's just confirmatory maybe in your mind that you're in the proper direction perhaps, okay? But you always have to manage the risk in one way or another, or at least you should, because no matter how certain you are, the news can change, the momentum can change, and so you should manage your risk in case the trade goes bad, because certainly you're not going to win on every move that you make. The idea, though, is to win often enough that you profit at the end of the day or the end of the week, etc. And then you kind of tweak your methods as you go along. But the strategy you can see is more of a checklist than using one tool. We're looking at the signal, sure, but we're not just blindly following the signal. I'm suggesting that you also pay attention to the sentiment of the day. Is there fear or is there not fear? Which way is the momentum? And then also doing your own technical analysis along with the signal to see, do you like the current entry point? What's the current trend? Has it bounced? Has it reversed, etc.? And so as you put all of those together on a checklist, then you've got your strategy to go ahead and make a move that you yourself are confident in, rather than just following a signal and then blaming the signal if it goes bad or crediting the signal if it goes good. There should be maybe a little more to it than just using one tool, and maybe put a checklist together like we did to be confident in the move that you make for more than just one reason. Any questions, comments? I'll pause for a moment. Okay, I don't see any new questions popping up, so I'll carry on. I wanted to show you that even as you go to a section in our tools here that is more of a fundamental feature in terms of looking at it for news, something like the market buzz, we still can see that combined with that fundamental news tool, there's technical analysis available. So whether you're looking at an individual stock, or we could switch to commodities, indices, currencies, etc. As you pull up these different tradable instruments, you'll see that along with the fundamental news articles that you can click on and read the entire articles if you wish to get an idea of what is the latest information coming out about a particular stock or currency pairing, etc., to help you decide which way to trade from a fundamental perspective. Right alongside that, you have the technical signals. Okay, so this says price may rise 10.6%. Okay, that's the trend analysis from Trading Central. That's quite a prediction. It's not saying 1% or 2%. It's saying they expect it to rise over 10%. So they must be pretty certain about what they're looking at. It doesn't mean they're going to be right 100% of the time, but there might be a level of certainty in your mind if you read some of these articles and maybe they make you believe, oh, there's positive news about Apple if you read the articles. Then you look at the trend analysis and it says that the price may rise 10.6%. And if I click on this, then I get the signal off here to the side with the support and resistance levels drawn. The take profit zone is designed to give you a spot where you could take profit before it would have to break the next, in this case, resistance levels. Okay, it's not just that the designers of this signal are allowing it to move a certain distance and then saying take profit. The suggested take profit zones are based on the technical analysis, where the next, in this case, resistance level is on the buy signal. So that if it reaches that price, the expectation is it might have trouble going any further, at least initially. And it would take more momentum then to break through this price zone because of the resistance level from the past. And so it's a combination of the fundamental news and the technical trend determining the directionality of the signal as well as where you might think about taking profit. Okay, so this is a really powerful set of tools together to form a nice trading strategy where you can have the signal, you can have the technical analysis, and you can also have the fundamental news right there at your fingertips to get an idea of, does the news right now support the technical signal and the technical analysis that goes along with it, okay? I see another question has popped up, so let me just take a second. Okay, so the question is alluding to the fact that technical analysis is using past price data. As you're looking at the formations of the candles, that's always the past that you're looking at. The fundamental news is a combination of both past information as well, but also looking forward, like on an economic calendar, to future information that's coming. Okay, so you can get an idea of exactly what's in store from a fundamental perspective when we look at an economic calendar, for example. Now, we don't know what's going to happen with headlines that could break at any given moment. And we don't know what the data will be on those economic announcements, whether the numbers will come out good or bad, like on jobs numbers or factory production numbers, etc. But we do have a good idea of what's coming up. So it's a little bit different when we're looking at fundamental news compared to the technical analysis. But when you put those two things together, it can be pretty powerful in terms of helping you as an individual trader make up your mind. How confident are you with a particular trade? Because, like I said, looking at the signal coming in is one thing, but looking at the signal and then doing your own technical analysis on the live chart, and then also understanding what the latest headlines are or news might be surrounding the instrument that you're planning to trade on. As you put those pieces together, and we have the tools for you to be able to do a lot of that right here in our platform. As you put those things together, then you really start to look at things from a more professional perspective and gain a lot more confidence in the moves that you're making. Okay, and also, like we looked at, then the other important part is the risk management. And we saw how easy it is in the order window to understand, based on the price levels you put in the take profit and the stop loss, you can understand exactly how much you're risking for any particular trade size and adjust that accordingly to meet your preferences in terms of risk tolerance, etc. Let's see, there's a request for Starbucks. And I think I might need to switch to my MT5 account. Let's see if that's available to pull up. And then I think we'll call it quits after this look. There's Starbucks. And so that's another nice thing about the web trader and also our app is you can switch between MT4 accounts and MT5 accounts from one location. One click there, now I'm in my MT5 account. Whereas if you're trading directly on the MetaTrader platform, it's a completely different platform, MetaTrader 4 and MetaTrader 5. You have to log out and go to a different platform and log in on the other platform to trade between MT4 and MT5 on those platforms. But you can see we seamlessly switched between MT4 and MT5 in the web trader without any issues. So Starbucks is here. We can take a look at the current trend. The 1 hour candles tells me that it's waiting for some momentum to go one way or the other. Okay, this is what we might call a ranging pattern. Okay, so on the 1 hour candles, what do we see? We see a support level below where it hit 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 times, tried to break 86.92 or so and couldn't break it. We also see it come up towards this resistance up here, 1, 2, 3, and not quite a 4th time, but we're ranging between about 89.4 and 86.9. Okay, so it's going to take some kind of momentum to break out of this pattern here. Okay, so one strategy you can use in a situation like this, and this is a purely technical strategy, would be if it breaks below this price to have a sell pending order ready to sell with your stop loss then back up this way. And if it breaks out from the top, then you have a pending order up here to buy if it has enough momentum to break the resistance and go upward. In the meantime, before it breaks out from the top or the bottom, you also can trade the ranging pattern. So the ranging pattern would be if it gets near the resistance, sell. If it gets near the support, buy. Okay, until you see that there's enough momentum to break through those, now you can use the breakout strategy with pending orders kicking in on one side or the other. And that's what we're looking at with that right now. But you also might check to see what's the latest fundamental news to get an idea of when might the pattern change from this ranging pattern to a breakout type move to break out either to a higher price or a lower price than the range. So if we go to the market buzz, we can take a look to see if we can find anything on Starbucks. And so we see the technical trend analysis is the price may rise over 8%. Okay, that's a pretty significant prediction. And then we take a look and we see there are articles over here on Starbucks. Okay, you can go on and read as many articles as you need to. They're time stamped. They come in all through the day, all through the week even, and read through these articles until you gain some feel for what's the sentiment right now for Starbucks. I know what the technical signal is. It's that this would rise over 8%. Okay, and so let's make up a situation where, let's say you read some articles here and they seem positive for Starbucks. And then you see the trend analysis says price may rise 8%. And then we go back to the chart. And let's pull up Starbucks again. And you go back to the chart, and let's say that this has reached the support level and this ranging pattern has started to bounce again. If those things were in alignment, then you might say, okay, I think buying makes sense. And you'd have multiple reasons on your checklist to make that move. Maybe in this case, you would put a pending order down here near the bottom of the range to say, if it does come down here, I'll buy. Because the technical signal says it should go up, and maybe you read some articles that you think were positive as well. And so you say, okay, I'll take advantage if this does pull down and give me the price I like on this support level down here, then I would rather buy from the support. However, if it goes up to the resistance here, I won't sell. So I'm selectively only trading one direction in the range based on my feel of the sentiment of the fundamental news. Okay, and I'm just making up this example because I didn't actually read articles on Starbucks, but if I had and they were positive, along with that technical signal expecting up to a 8% rise or so, then I'd be looking for, if it breaks this resistance and breaks up here, a pending order to buy. If it pulls back to the support level, a pending order to buy. That sort of setup in a preferred direction based on the trend analysis and maybe your own fundamental analysis if you read a few of those articles. Okay. If everything all in all is neutral, if you looked at the trend analysis and it says that it's expected to go sideways and not up or down, and maybe the articles were kind of some positive, some negative, then you might just expect this ranging pattern to continue. And you would sell from the top and buy from the bottom, rather than only buying from the bottom, as the example I made up. Okay. All right. I think this is a good place to stop. Usually, typically after 35 minutes or so, the attention starts to wane. I know the typical time session for most lessons are around that time. So let's call it quits for today's session at this point. Does anyone have any last questions before we end things? Okay, great. I must have been pretty clear. Well, thank you all for attending. And my next session is on Thursday at 11 a.m. UK time. We'll spend more time on the fundamental side of things, and we'll look more closely at the economic calendar and the advanced tools that are available on it. And we'll also take a look at the market buzz, maybe look at some specific articles and open some articles to go a little more in depth on the fundamental analysis side of things in Thursday's session. All right, everybody, thank you for joining and good luck with your trading the rest of the week.